So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live Thursday show. It's recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I'm working in my new Fantomorphia by Kirby Roseanne, and this is the first page. So I've been quite naughty and creased the first page back so that I can work neat. And this is the practice. This is the first page, and we've got a couple of pages to practice on different paper. The paper feels the same. So I had a look at this page, and there's a skull, which is grey. There's kind of a skull type creature down here, that's kind of grey. And there was something else grey as well, and I thought, oh, I'll use the Derwent Graphitint because these are grey tones, or grunge tones. So I can't find my little book of watercolours, so I've just scratched the colour and had a bit of a play, and then I've added white and I've mixed colours together. So even though I've only got 24 in the set, I do have a lot more colours to use. So you can scratch colour into the shape, or we can use a paper palette. So I think I kind of like this aubergine colour, which is number 3 for the crystals. So I'm going to use that one first. I'm using 1, 3 and 5 Artist Watercolour Sable by Winsor & Newton, and these are riggers. So I think I'm going to start with the smallest one. So I've got a pot of water, and I've used this all day, so I haven't done very badly with it, and there's a baby wipe, so it's a bit damp, so it'd be perfect. So I'm dunking into there carefully, not pushing the bristles backwards, just gentle, and then twisting, drawing backwards to leave a point. So I want to mix a fair amount of this colour, and just do a little bit first. So I'm going to look for the darkest first. So that was the darkest because it has more cross hatching, and then I think this one was going to be kind of dark, and then I'm going to go for this one, and lastly the top, and that's giving me 3 different tones. So I'll zoom in and then we can have a look and see a bit better how we do it. So we'll just check to see if we can read. That should be, just bear with me a second, see if I can get that slightly better. I guys seem to have lost it now. That's better. So that's the little one that I've coloured. Very soft. These are not bright colours, these are grungy colours. These are Derwent grungy colours. So I'm going to do the next one. Then I'm going to do that side over there, and then that one I've left. So if we want it to be a little bit darker, that's dried, so I wouldn't really go over it yet. So the next one is this one. So these are never going to be bright colours, they're grungy colours. And normally for colour books I tend to want to use synthetic brushes, so I'm actually going to change. I've got 3 brushes I've used earlier. These are Rigger Aquatones by De La Rowney, and I have a 2, a 4 and a 6. And they are synthetic, so they hold their shape just that little bit better. I love my sables, but I don't really like using them for colour books. So again, the riggers behave slightly better, and then the pale on the top. And then if we want some more colour, we can kind of, we do need a little bit of a difference in between. Now we can go back over. What we can't do is go lighter, but we can go darker. So we have to remember that. And then now we've got some pale ones now, and then the top is the palest. And you can create quite a nice effect there. So again, we'll start the side, and you keep moving about, you'll end up with different tones, and you haven't done any work, you've just moved somewhere else. And this is the technique I use for the roses. Just picking up colour, moving to different spaces, so everything's not the same. And you create a kind of three-dimensional effect. But there's nothing to say we can't go in there afterwards. So again, that's dark and that's dark, but that's pale. And every time you pick up, you know it's going to be darker, so go to a darker space and then paler. That one, and then that will be paler still. She's got a real nice highlight on that one. Now we're getting a bigger squares, so we're going to go for a bigger brush. That was number 2, this is number 4. We're picking up some colour. And we're working just barely damp. We don't want to be too wet because we don't want to buckle our pages. So we're dunking into the water gently, and then we're twisting and drawing back over a baby wipe, twisting to a point to get a nice point. So the idea is the brush is barely damp, all the way we have a point, and then we can pick up the colour, and it'll be the darkest, so we go to the darkest place. We can go somewhere else, pick up some more colour, go back over something else, then go back to a bigger space, go to a paler space, and then start all over again. So darkest there. So you can do each individual crystal, or you can move about the page. That's the darkest, and then we'll go there. Then we'll go here. Oh, for goodness sake, I'm just covered in ants and I can't believe they've got into the house. That's the darkest. I want to be dark in there, perhaps. If we go there, I want to come back here, it's a bit darker, and then the palest for the highlight. Decide which is going to be the highlight. Where's the light coming from? So you can pick some more colour up. This is now going to be dark, so I want to be over here somewhere where it's cross hatching and cross hatching. It's going to show you that. Then we want the next palest until there's nothing left, and then we start again. So a little bit of colour. And even if it's very faint, you're just taking off that stark white, but very, very barely damp. And we could put some colour on the back of that one, put some colour on that one. And if we want to go in later, we can. So follow these round. There's a few big ones here now. Pick some colour at this one. That's the darkest. Then this one, then that one. Should be paler. So we've got the same colour on the same brush. But it looks like we've used 3 different colours. I think that's a crystal. So that one darker. And as I say, these are quite pale, so you can go in later, darker if you want. I think once we start putting shadows in there, we should be fine. So that little square that I did seems to have worked quite well. I'm not sure what that is there, so I think I'm going to do the sword next. So when we go to our little square, I've used quite a lot of that square, and I've got a bit of a buckle going on, but that's fine, it hasn't gone through. You can see there a little bit of a bump. It hasn't gone through, and I've used that little square, but I've covered in all that area. So it works quite well. So I may actually just pan out a little bit, I think, just to give you a bit of... So we've used that square for all of that crystal. So we're going to use that next. So I've had a look. I like this pale one here and this dark one. So that was number 4. I'm going to the number 2 brush in the Daler-Rowney. Dunk, twist, so it's damp. Pick up some pale colour first. And then we're just going to stroke the colour into there. Now, you could have started at the bottom and worked up. So again, just pick up a little bit of colour, and on that side I'm going to have it that pale. Same with this one. So that's the magic carpet, but then there's something else behind there. Sometimes if you can't tell what it is, I leave it, because it'll be, once I've got that flower in the leaf and the magic carpet, once I've done all that, that will be better. So I'm actually going to leave that. We've got a skull, so again, looking at the greys, I've got number 19, which is warm grey. And then if we just manipulate that, it becomes a grey scale. And then kind of I've got a little bit of a highlight going on, just a little bit, not much. I think I might do the rose next. So let's have a look at our colours. We've got port number 1, and number 17 is russet, I think, is autumn brown. Number 13 is russet. I think that the pinky red one we have is port number 1, so we're going to have to use number 1. And again, a nice amount on the tip of the brush. I've got a damp brush, so I'm going to start where it's darkest. So I'm going to start at the bottom, and then I can go back over that one, because now that's a highlight. Go back over that one, so I've got 2 highlights. And then I need to start again. I need to get some fresh paint on the tip. Go where it's darkest, go somewhere else. And then you can create just a hint of a colour and manipulate that round a bit. So go back in, find some more dark. So we've got a highlight on our rose. I found another crystal there. I didn't see these crystals. So again, go back to number 3. So start where it's darkest. Well, under there is going to be the darkest. Then this one might be dark. Then we'll do this one, the top, the side, and then that's the sword. I'm just seeing that that is the sword, which was number 19. So we know the sword goes down there. This is the flower that's not opened, so again that's number 1. So darker at the back. And then just barely taking off the colour. So now we have 2 coloured. I don't think we have another one, but we have 2 leaves. So I think I like number 10, so pick up a bit of number 10. And we'll go in there first. And we'll do the stalk bit down. And pick up a little bit more. And then manipulate that up there to make a lovely highlight. it's a good idea to leave it if you don't get it the first time, because we don't want that to buckle. So this one, then pick up number 10. You don't want to be too wet, but you don't want to be too dry. You want to manipulate that into a watercolour, and then we could be dark at that side. Take the stem down. We seem to have another crazy creature down here, so I think that might be number 22, which is cloud grey. Just put that in there. And looks like he's got actual fangs, so that might lead into a warmer grey. So our little, I think we could possibly put 23, which is cool grey. I think we could darken in there, because obviously this is going to be darker. And in shadow. If we have a highlight on that one, it'll make that darker. So that should look okay. There's a carpet. I think that might be greens and oranges. So I think we're going to have, I think I'm going to have green tassels. So we're going to have number 11. And it's the same colour as the leaf, so I think I may have to darken the leaf, I think a bit later. And that was a bit of a big brush, so if you're not comfortable, you can so I'll go to the smaller brush, which is number, oh no, that was the smallest brush, and I think we're going to put a little bit of 17. As a background. Can just go in and out of those a bit. It's nice that we've got a few little different areas going on. Some are darker, some are not. And remember, you can always go back into there and make it a little bit darker. So we can always do something else with that a bit. One thing I do want to do is to make that green darker. So I'm going to take the number 7, I think, steel blue, ocean blue, and I'm just going to very carefully it's definitely going to take it away from that one. And that's got a nice highlight on it as that one. That one hasn't, but it's underneath anyway, so that works quite well. What have we got now? That looks like a shell. There's a little bit of gearbox going on there, so I think I'd do the gearbox. So we do have quite a lot of greys. There's a number 21 which is mountain grey. I think I like the look of that one. And it's kind of a bit of a warmer grey. So we've got that nice going on that way, so we'll go the other way this time. We'll start down here. And we should get to the same point. So our darkest one, I think, is number 6. That's kind of a dark. And if you have some really tiny spaces, you could use the little Windsor brush. Look, these are a bit tiny, these spaces. And then they kind of go off onto flames, so that's going to be a bit interesting. How are we going to do that? There's another gearbox there, so that spells out a different grey. So we've got number 20, which is midnight black. I don't know if I want midnight black. I think I'll put midnight black in the background. But now it's become a soft grey. But it has a cool tint instead of a warm tint, and this one can be darker. Until eventually you're going to have such a soft grey. It works quite well. I'm not quite sure what that is yet. I don't know what that is either. Oh, we do find one of these little creatures stealing an amethyst. And that was number 3. So I have number 3 here. So we'll put that there. And then this one here, that's the pale one. And then we can go back and start with the dark. There's a bit there. And there's a large bit there. So put a bit of a top on that one. There's another one. So let's pick that one in to be dark. And that one. And that one. Another one there. Sometimes you have to dig about for these. So again, that wants to be quite dark. So now we have a bunny of it, a little bunny. So we want a brown. So I think number 14, russet. I think we're going to have a bit of a brown bun going on. So again, manipulate that up to be a highlight. Our little bunny rabbit's got some colour to him. We've got a bat. So the bat, I think, is number 6, is steel blue. I think that's quite a nice dark bat colour. So we start at the bottom and then we get paler and paler so we can see all those details in his bat wing. We have a kind of a wing here. There's some kind of a lantern. So I don't have a yellow. I think, oh dear, this one. That's as brass as we're going to get. That looks like a bit of a prism in there somewhere, I think, possibly escaping. So we've got number 3. I think we're going to have a brown owl. We need a brown owl, and again I like the colour of number 12, and because the bunny's a long way away we can get away with it. So I think I've got a highlight on there. There doesn't seem to be a lot of colour on there, but there is a little bit. And then this one's darker. And look at these dark wings. be a slightly bigger brush because it's a bigger area. But I want to create a nice shadow under there because it's going to make the other one show up. So we do need a bit of a shadow. And there is some colour on there, but of course now we've made that dark, you can't see that very well. So we get that into there. So we've got our little brown bird. I think we might make our little man purple, I think. Number 4 is dark indigo, so I want that for the clouds, and I can't find any clouds now. Somewhere there will be a Kirby cloud, and that's the indigo. I like indigo for those. You've got a bit of a cloud going on here. So that suits me to be indigo. Don't have to think about it. Some of them look like flames and some of them look like shells. I can't work out what's in that at all, but I might see something in a minute. That looks like another wing, so I'm going to make that into a wing. I do think that looks like a wing. A bit of a wing, and I've left a really nice highlight on the top. Possibly that could be as well. So we've done 2 wings and we've done an owl and a bunny, and we've used up the little square. So we've done quite a lot. I'll pan out and you can see what I've done, and you can see how much you use. So we've done brown, number 14, number 14. We've done green, a little bit of the russet colour. Very soft colours, really nice soft colours. But we haven't used, there was only a little bit scratched on there. So if you scratched your colour out, you could take this with you and leave the pencils at home. And I'm not sure, I think we might leave that one white, depends on if you do a background or not. Not sure about these gears and some light screws. This looks like a dragon skull. Oh no, it's a dragon curved. Right, so we have a dragon. I think we're going to have a bit of a red dragon, so follow this. So that looks a bit like a red dragon. Number 17, autumn brown, is quite reddy, so, and autumn browns are quite red, so seem to have got a bit of a, and that's all I'm doing is just picking up a little bit at the end and manipulating it round. So you will probably find, I'm just trying to find where the wing goes here on this one. think somehow the dragon's curled up a bit, just made it a bit more difficult to see, but it's still dry, barely damp. And that's the spine of the dragon. I think they're his wings. Just going to guess that he's curled up a bit and these are his wings. And I think that might be we need to make that darker, so I think we're going to put got to be a bit careful doing dark over dark, but if you're quick we might get away with it. So our little dragon has got a highlight. So I think we've got fur and flames, I think. Can't see many clouds, there's a little one there. I think some of these are flames. And that's a bit mechanical, so I think I'm going to put this darker colour under here to make everything else stand out a bit more. Sometimes you don't really have to think too much with these because it's not like it's a green leaf that you know you've got to pick the right colour for, so we've got a bit of darkness going on down there. I think we'll give him a green eye. I think he deserves a bright green eye. So excuse me. Oh, sorry about that, a bit of a coughing fit. So that was Meadow, and because I want it really strong, I scribbled it in there. There's a really strong green eye. So I've pulled out oh, excuse me. I pulled out 12, 15, 16 and 17. So we'll scratch those in colour order. So number 12. If you keep turning it, you'll never lose your point. That's Sage. And then we have Cool Brown. And then we have Cocoa. And Autumn Brown. So Autumn Brown. So what we need to do is to kind of really have a look at the potential. It's a really good thick colour. See, that's an olive brown. The next one is a cool brown, so that one's like a Van Dyke or an umber. This one is a warmer brown, and then this should be a real reddy brown. I think we could put the tips, let's see how we do with this one. And sometimes you just have to do that. I think that looks quite nice at the ends. So we've had a bit of a look. These three go together. We've got to decide about, are we going to do a warm brown? So I think for the highlights we could have the red, so I think just scratch a bit of colour, so you can do it this way. Some red highlights. And I think I think number 17, or was it Cocoa? Number 16, I think that was number 16. Yeah, so I think we're going to have a cocoa colour. So I'm just gently where the cross hatching is, I'm putting this colour, and where the highlights are, I'm putting the Autumn Brown number 17. Oops. So it's scratching the dark into there. So we've got some colour. Right, so just going to have a look at how to do that. So I'll zoom in and we'll just have a bit of a... So I've scratched really roughly the colour in. So I think I'm going to be using the number 6 brush. It's a little bit bigger. And again, this is now quite wet. So actually I don't need... It's possibly too wet, but it should be okay. So, and just, if you just activate the end, there we go, you can get a lovely effect. So, we can bring in that. Sorry about that, guys. You just got Bungle in the way. We have a Bungle, so I'm just going to move the things out of the way so Bungle can have a sit on his blankie. Here we go, Bungles. Here you go, Bungle. Have a lie down then. You can lie down there. There you go. Sit there. It's a good boy. It's a good boy. Here's your blankie. Here's your blankie. Good boy. Where are you going, Bungle? Do you want to go under there? There we go. We'll put that there, look. There we go, Bungle. There's a good boy. You sat down there. There's a good boy. You're going to stay there with Mummy. You're going to stay there with Mummy. There's a good boy. So we have a Bungle in the room. It's all right. You're going to stay there. You're going to stay there. Good boy. Good boy, Bungle. He's such a big boy now. We have a Bungle cam. There's your camera there, Bungle. That's your favourite thing. I'll just put him up here and oopsie, I'll just finish the end of the video. So that's end of part 1 of Fantomorphia. Thanks for watching.